The morning was peaceful, wrapped in a soft, golden glow. Sunlight poured in through tall, graceful windows, framed with heavy curtains of cream and gold. The air felt still, almost sacred in its silence, only the gentle rustling of the trees outside stirred the quiet. The room itself spoke of elegance, designed for grand moments. Paintings adorned the walls, a piano stood untouched. Polished wooden floors gleamed beneath fine furniture that quietly spoke of wealth. But today, the room held something else, not grandeur, not luxury, but something smaller and far more meaningful. Evelyn knelt beside the wheelchair, her soft blue dress folding gracefully round her. Her voice was gentle, calm, and kind. "Shall we try again? Just once more?" she asked warmly. Jaime lowered his gaze, silent and motionless. He was 10 years old, yet in that moment, he seemed even younger. His face looked tired, and his eyes held a quiet defensiveness. Since the accident, Jaime hadn't spoken, laughed, or even smiled. He hadn't allowed anyone to touch him except for Evelyn. She remained cheerful and patient, never forcing, never rushing. She simply waited. Every morning, she came to him with a soft voice, bringing along stories, games, silly songs, and always hope. That morning, she reached out her hand, palm open and waiting. Jaime's gaze shifted toward it, but he didn't move, at least, not yet. Behind them, unseen, stood Daniel Whitmore, tall, dressed in a dark suit, his face unreadable. He watched, quietly from the doorway, arms at his sides, hands clenched just slightly. He dared not speak. He had seen the weight of his son's silence grow heavier with each passing day. He had tried everything: doctors, therapists, specialists, expensive toys, tablets. Nothing worked. But now, something shifted. Jaime's fingers twitched, then slowly, hesitantly, he reached forward. His small hand touched hers. Evelyn didn't flinch or cheer. She simply smiled, a soft, warm smile, full of light. Jaime looked up slightly, just enough to meet her. Their fingers stayed together, gently entwined. And then came a sound so faint, so delicate: laughter. Jaime's laughter. It was small and shaky, but it was real. Daniel stepped forward unconsciously, his breath catching in his throat. He hadn't heard that sound in months. Evelyn leaned in, whispering something quiet, something just for Jaime. He smiled wider, his eyes lighting up like morning sun breaking through a fog. She had reached him, not with money, not with medicine, but with something simple, something true. Daniel's heart swelled with pride, relief, and gratitude so deep he couldn't speak. Evelyn turned, sensing his presence behind her. She met his gaze and didn't look away. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. In her eyes, there was calm and understanding. In that moment, Daniel saw her not as the nanny, not as hired help, but as the person who had given his son back to him. A quiet moment passed, full and still. Jaime gently tugged Evelyn's hand. She turned toward him, still kneeling, still present. Daniel stepped closer, and in that quiet room, something began to shift, not with thunder or drama, but with a simple hand, a soft smile, and a laugh that broke the silence. Outside, the rain fell gently, tapping against the windows like whispers, calm and steady. The world beyond was wrapped in gray mist, while inside, warm lamps cast a golden glow across the floor and walls. Jaime was resting near the window seat, curled under a blanket, his head leaned back, eyes half closed, face peaceful and serene. Evelyn sat beside him, a storybook in her hands, her voice low and steady. She read each line like a lullaby, letting the words drift into the hush of the room, a tale of courage, of journeys, and quiet kindness. Jaime said nothing, but he listened with full attention. Daniel stood nearby, watching from the doorway. No suit now, just a soft sweater, dark slacks, and slippers. He looked tired, but somehow lighter. After a moment's hesitation, he stepped forward and asked quietly, "May I sit here?" Evelyn looked up and gave him a small, gentle smile, then nodded. He sat beside her, not too close, but close enough. The space between them felt calm, felt safe. No one spoke for a while. Only the sound of rain, the turn of pages, and Jaime's soft breathing filled the air. Daniel looked at Evelyn's hands, how gently they moved, how carefully they held the book. Then, At last, he said, voice rough and unsure, "I never said thank you." Evelyn replied softly, "You don't have to. Jaime said it today." She smiled again, eyes resting on the boy. Daniel looked toward the rainy window and murmured, "He hasn't smiled in months. I thought I'd lost him." Evelyn's voice remained gentle. "You didn't lose him. He just needed time, and someone to truly see him." Daniel was silent, his fingers clenched together. "I tried everything," he whispered, shame in his tone. "The best doctors, the best treatments, but I couldn't reach him." Evelyn looked at him not with judgment, not with coldness. "You did your best, Daniel. You were hurting too." He met her gaze, and something softened. A breath, a fragile connection, mending itself. Outside, the rain began to ease. The clouds started to part, letting in light like hope returning. Daniel looked down and asked, voice quiet and hesitant, "Why did you stay?" Evelyn didn't answer right away. She closed the book gently and laid it down. "I needed the job," she said honestly, "but I stayed for him because he needed someone patient, someone kind." She paused, then added softly, "And maybe for you too." Her words lingered in the air, tender and sincere. Daniel blinked slowly, his heart full and aching. He didn't speak, just nodded once, a quiet agreement. Jaime stirred slightly and opened his eyes. He looked at them both and smiled again, a sleepy, genuine smile. Daniel reached out and placed a hand on his son's shoulder. Jaime didn't pull away. He leaned in. A single tear rolled down Daniel's cheek, unnoticed by him, but not by Evelyn. She said nothing. In that moment, the room felt whole, not perfect, not repaired, but healing. Outside the window, sunlight returned, soft and golden, touching their faces, their hands, their hearts, and the silence between them was no longer empty. It was full of warmth, of trust, and the quiet beginning of something new.